Starting? Okay. Hi guys. So, as requested by the AM section, I'm going to be doing. Yes. All right. As requested by the AM section, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a talk on the CLI and using Git and GitHub. So let's just get into it. That's Jeff Dean, by the way. What is a CLI? So a CLI stands for Command Line Interface. Oh yeah, I mean, you could take notes if you want. I'm going to share this with you for whoever wants it, but sometimes it's better to write stuff down, so it's up to you. So a CLI stands for Command Line Interface. It was the OG kind of operating system where the user gets to talk to the computer and get the computer to do stuff. These days we have really nice GUI, Windows, Mac OS X, whatever. But back in the day we had these cool things that you just typed into them and then stuff came out. So yeah, it allows you to talk directly with your computer, and it's only for cool cats these days, at least, because we have such nice operating systems as developed by Windows and Macintosh. In this demo, I'm going to be using a Unix-based CLI, which is pretty standard. Something. So if you ever used a Linux computer, you've had to use this. This also works on Mac, but Mac is also made for non-programmers, so you might not have seen that. If you have used Windows like me, I never saw this before. This was introduced to me by my AP Computer Science teacher, so this will be new to you just as it was new to me, and you'll be fine. So, okay, so what is Git? So Git is a version control system for software development. So that means it's basically a way for engineers and software developers to collaborate on projects even as versions are running for users in real time. So to give a couple of examples, developers at Google, I'm not sure if Facebook does it, but a lot of open source projects have running versions that are available for download by users across the world, and it's all good, but behind the scenes they're working on kind of temporary or in the works versions that are all running concurrently, they're in parallel, but they're made so that users can download what they need, while at the same time engineers can work on the parts that are relevant for them and the sections that are in development. Some keywords for Git are branches, pulling, pushing, committing, and merging. So a branch is just basically a different version of what you're working on. So if you have one project that has a development version, and then you have another project that has a release version, those would be two branches of the same thing. Pulling is when you have your work on a, like you have it on a GitHub or a Bitbucket. We'll get into more of like what those are later. But pulling is when you bring someone else's work down from the cloud into your local folder or on your computer. Pushing is when you do the opposite, when you push work from your local directory to one in the cloud. And committing is when you prepare stuff to be pushed. Merging is something a little bit more complicated. We're not going to have to work with that, but that's when you combine two branches. So downloading Git, if you've never worked with this before, I would look up Git online on Google, and I'd go and get the latest release version, download it. You're probably going to need it. Right, actually, so since you're downloading Git, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Okay, so, right, so don't open the terminal yet, you don't have to do that, but if you haven't gotten Git yet, you should go to online, find the Git website, download the latest version, and then if you have a Windows PC, then you should download Git and make sure that you have you're also getting the Git Bash application as well. A bash and a terminal are the same thing. They're both CLI. They're names for the CLI. So that's a way for you to talk to your computer. So Git Bash is a really nice bash that Git provides, and it's if you have a Windows computer, usually you don't have a Unix-based command line just waiting for you. The command prompt, if you're not aware of it, is not actually Unix-based, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to work with. But this is a good way to get into the same stuff that I'm doing with the Mac and Linux users. Does anyone use Linux here? No? All right, cool. Anyway, yeah, make sure when you're downloading Git Bash that it's Unix-based everything, so anything with Windows command prompt commands, not cool. I'm not going to bother. You're going to be totally lost. So going back, how do I use Git? So this is where GitHub comes in. GitHub is a separate service dedicated to providing a Google Drive-like experience for users of Git. So it's kind of like I said, it's Google Drive for software developers. You use Git on GitHub. All right, great. No. Yes. All right, so has everyone opened up their terminal? If you've done it, just like raise your hand and then put it back down or something. Cool. So once we get to like 70% of the room, I'll move on. If you're on Windows, the download might take a while if you don't already have it, so you can be patient a little bit.
Wait, so once we download it, what do you want us to do?
I want you to make sure that you also get Git Bash with it. There should be an option to get. Oh, actually, no. You're on Mac. Don't bother. Just download it, and then there's nothing else you have to do. So while we wait on that, I can give you guys a glimpse at my GitHub. So GitHub allows for you to have a profile where you can put your code in things called repositories, which are basically separate projects. You shouldn't use repositories for individual files. Repositories are only for projects. So even if your project is just one file and it has like 5 lines of code, it's better to have that in one repository than to have it jammed into another repository, because that would just be confusing and wouldn't make too much sense. GitHub is nice because it provides a way for you to create a website. It's something called GH pages. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I think the week before I started Bluestamp, just for fun, I created my own website. And so this is what a repository looks like on GitHub. So you have all this code here, some images, and then, yeah, if you go to that link, then you can see my website. But yeah, that's something that's nice about GitHub. And if you go deeper into it, you can even get to the point where you don't have a domain name that's provided by GitHub, so you can have a customized domain name. So that's kind of cool. All right. So I'm assuming that most people have their terminal open, right? Yeah. So don't feel bad if you don't. You can just follow along later or just watch me. I'm going to do the same stuff as you. So I'm going to open my own terminal over here. Okay, so I've done a bunch of stuff. But if we
see guys?
Yeah. But if we scroll down, you can see this is where my blank working space. I am currently I'm in the directory of like my whole computer. Not even before I've gone into any drive, so this is just what comes up when you open the bash. Going back to the presentation. So, come on. Okay. So, getting a feel for your CLI. So Eric should have forwarded you a.
Not yet.
Alright.
Sorry. On it.
Okay, he's on it, guys. Okay, well, when he does that, it's an email that I assembled for last year's Bluestamp, because at the end of the program, everyone was like, "Oh, we got to publish our code. How do I do that?" And so I had to basically do this same lecture for everyone at like the end of the program, which was kind of a rush. But yeah, I assembled an email, and it has a bunch of instructions on how to use your CLI and GitHub. For now, we're only going to be playing around with the CLI. We're going to get into GitHub later. It'll come eventually. But yeah, so those are just the basic instructions.
Okay. You guys should all have it.
Alright, so yeah, when you open up the email, just skip all of that text, just go to the link that says CLI Basics, and it's a PDF. Let me see if I can find what it looks like. So this is what it should look like. Alright, so if we go through the commands, so all these commands are for Unix-based CLIs. It's especially powerful. So yeah, so it takes a little bit of learning, and it's kind of a pain, but these are commands that you can use to navigate around your computer, basically. So yeah, cd tilde is how you go back to the home directory. A directory and a folder are the same thing, by the way. cd ... is how you go back up one folder. cd and then the navigation path to a folder will take you directly to the folder. pwd is how you check your location, so it'll give you like the route in terms of directories to your current position in terms of the bash. ls will give you a list of all the files that are contained in your current directory. mkdir, mkdir, will make a new folder, and rmdir will remove an empty folder. So that's basically all we're going to work with right now. So your first step is open up your terminal. You don't actually need Git for this yet, but I just want to make sure that you guys all have some sort of terminal to work with. If not, then just follow along with me. Hello. Oh, wait. This is weird. Anyway, yeah, so. Hello. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Okay, my computer's having trouble. This is kind of dumb. Okay. Yeah, Windows not helping. Come on, Windows 10. Let's go. Hello. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what's happening right now. But anyway, I'll run you through creating folders and navigating and stuff. So right now, I haven't gone anywhere. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to navigate into my C drive. So there you see it, C says it. I want to go a level down, and I'm going to go to my users so I can give a look at the users. And if I want to actually see which users I have, I'm going to type in ls, and so it'll show me the user directories I can navigate to. So I'm going to navigate to Averal 2, which is the user I'm in right now. And it'll show me the path, and because I've used Git before, or actually specifically GitHub, it'll show me the branch I'm working on, which is GH pages. I use that for my website. Yeah. I'm going to go a level down. First I can see where I can go. So spit out a bunch of stuff. I think I'm going to go to desktop, cd desktop. And now basically I'm at the equivalent of your desktop in your GUI. So anything I do now will will end up over here. So to show you, I'm going to create a folder called practice. All right, so if we go back, it should be like a magician. Ta-da! Oh my god, it's practice! Come on guys, enthusiasm. Okay, so yeah, that's me making a folder on my desktop. Now to navigate into the folder, now that I've made it, I can just do cd practice. And whereas before, if I had clicked ls from my desktop, I wouldn't have seen it. Now, if I go back up a level by doing cd ... and I click ls, there it is, practice right here. Okay. Yeah, so that's how you create a folder. I'm just going to take it out now because I don't want that thing lying around on my desktop. So I'm going to do rmdir. This only works for empty folders, by the way. So you can't really use this command on anything else that has stuff in it. So there's another way to do it. You can look that up on Stack Overflow or something. Practice. Okay, so now if I do ls again, it's not there anymore. And if I go back to my desktop, practice is gone. So wonderful. Let's see. Okay. And I think that's just about everything I wanted to show you guys how to do. Hopefully you've gotten the chance to practice that with your terminal. Now let's try and move on to GitHub. If my computer would like cooperate or something. Hello. Okay. Does anyone have any questions up to this point? Now everyone's like totally into it, like you can do all that stuff? All right, cool. Wow. Oh my god. What the? Oh, it's over here. Okay, I see you. Come on, look at me. Wow. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. All right, okay. There we go. All right, got it back. So, back into our presentation. So now that everyone's gotten a chance to play around with their CLI, we're gonna get into the real nitty-gritty of what this lecture is about. So, to attain Cool Cat status, you have to go to GitHub and you have to create an account. So, I hope, does everyone have an account here? Don't tell me like everyone. Who has an account? Who doesn't have an account actually? All right, great, sizable number. So everyone go to GitHub if you haven't already created an account and create one. Ignore any of the tutorials from GitHub, we don't care. This is your tutorial. I'm right here spending my time. And yeah, so I'll give you guys like a minute to do that. You'll have to create a username and a password, and it's really important that you remember both of them because you're going to need them to authenticate later. Alright, so if we've all created our GitHub accounts / logged in, what we can do now is we can go over here, find our GitHub homepage, and I'm going to do it too so that you guys can follow along with me. But I'm going to create a new repository, and if you're working on a project that involves code, you can name it a name that is relevant to your project, like I don't know, RC Hovercraft or something like that. If you're not, then you can just create a practice one, call it practice or something. But in all cases, make sure that your repository name is short and simple because you're going to have to type it a bunch of times in your command line. So I'm just going to call mine practice. And the description is practice. And it's a public repository. I actually, for the general GitHub user, you have unlimited public repositories, and I think no private repositories for free. But if you want more private repositories, you can pay for them. However, thankfully, everyone here is a student of some kind, so if you have a .edu or have another way of proving that you're a student, you can get the GitHub Student Developer Pack, which gives you unlimited free repositories of any kind. So, yeah, I don't actually care if someone sees that I'm practicing, so move on. What you're going to want to do is initialize the repository with the README. GitHub is nice because when you go to a repository page, at the very bottom you see the text of the README. README is just a markdown file that has a description of your project. So it looks nice on GitHub because the description is formatted just like it would if it was his own web page. So I'm going to create the repository. And here it is. It's got the README, and then my description went straight into the README, so that was nice of them to do that. And so what's next up is, let's see where I'm at. Hello. All right, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to prepare to clone down this repository folder to my computer now by clicking the clone or download button and then copying this link to my clipboard. So this link is the exact same one that is on the top there, so you could also copy that. It's the same difference. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to the folder where I want to store this repository, this local folder. So right now if I type in pwd, I am at my desktop, and that's where I want to be. So I'd recommend using your desktop, so that way you can easily find the folder. You could also use documents or anywhere else where you could create a specific folder just for your GitHub projects. It's up to you. That's what's nice about this. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to type in git clone, and then because I copied it to my clipboard, I'm going to just press the insert button, and then I'm going to click enter. I think on Macs you can just do Control V, or Command V, excuse me. Yeah, if insert doesn't work, then Command V is going to be the way to go. So you see all this stuff. This is just Git Bash telling me what it's doing. And if I look back on my desktop, I now have a new folder called practice. And so if I navigate into practice from the desktop on my CLI, you can see that it's a new practice, but it's not the same practice as we used last time. It has the same name, except now it has a file, the README file that we created on GitHub in it, and it's also on the master branch, which is your standard branch for GitHub. So if we can navigate into it through the GUI, or we can do it. Does everyone know what a GUI is? Yes? Someone want to tell me?
Graphical user interface.
Great. Good job, Davin. Participation. All right. Okay.
Can
So.
you repeat that because it was kind of mumbled from back there.
Okay.
Graphical user interface.
All right. Graphical user interface. Great. So if I'm inside practice, and if I list the files, you see that there's a README file. Great. Wonderful. Next up, if I follow my script. Okay, cool cut status. Yeah. So what we've done right now is this whole slide has JZ in there. Great. Next up, we're gonna do the real meat and bones of developing. So all there is to it right now is basically throwing whatever files you want into this practice folder, or this local repository, whatever you want to call it. So if you have any relevant code, if you want to change the README file, you can open up a text editor. A good text editor is Sublime, which is for Cool Cat developers. So if it loads. All right. You see, I have been doing other work here. This is for my website actually, but if I close all of this, no. Okay, so I can open the file, which is the README that I want to change, and this is another README. Go to this desktop, practice. So there it is. It says practice, and I'm going to change it a little bit. Yes. Oh, okay. So practice, and I changed a lot. Okay. File and save. So make sure whenever you change anything within the folder that it's saved. So that way the command line will pick up on something that you've done. Otherwise, it'll just be like nothing happened, and then you're going to be like, "But please help me," and it won't help you. Okay, great. So next step is to get this ready for launching it back to GitHub. So assuming you've put all the files that are relevant for you into the folder. What we're going to do now is we're going to do git, and also make sure that you have navigated into this folder, the one that you've cloned down. So git add and a dot. So that means you're just basically adding all the files that are inside of that folder. Okay, nothing happened. Great. So that was all pointless. Except it's not. Whenever you run the git add command, it doesn't say anything because it's just like that. What you have to do is you have to type in git status, and you can see what's happening. So it says, you have a change to be committed. I have modified the README file. So what's up next is we're going to commit this change. Commit demonstration or blue stamp. Let me bring that up. So basically what I'm doing is when I commit this, I'll have the chance to insert comments on this commit. This is really useful when you have a bunch of teams working on the same project, because that way they can tell other developers what they've done to change the project. So let's go there. There it says one file is changed, one file, there's one insertion. So now the next step is git push origin. And at this point, you type in whichever branch you're working on. So as you can see, I'm working on master, so I'm going to type in master. And bloop, bloop. Okay, so I have to log in now. And then when I type in my password, it's going to show that nothing's happening, because that's just how Cool Cats work. So. And wow, oh my god, it works. Oh my god, that's so cool. So if we go back to my GitHub, the repository page, then this should have changed from practice